So this is Black Wolf here, and I've got that Game of Thrones itch, and I just gotta get out. So here's just, I guess, my um, words on Game of Thrones as far as that goes. Jon Snow. Basically, I made a list here, 1 to 6 points I'm kind of going over, and Jon Snow is one of them. each character I like or dislike. Personally, I like Jon Snow. He doesn't want to be king, which is great. Um, the fact that here, hold on 1 moment. There you go. Now the camera's on. Okay. For me, the fact that Jon Snow doesn't want to be king is kind of neat because it's kind of seems honorable to me. Um, he was actually willing to let Sansa Stark get the be Queen of the North or Warden of the North or whatever. And he was just like, hey, I'll sit in the back and do whatever you need me to do. I think that now I got this idea kind of from Smokescreen's channel. Shout out to Smokescreen. He said that people who just like disregarded the fact that Jon Snow died, and it's like, hey, don't forget that like he did die and come back. So that's got to do something to person if you think about it. And I mean, it would certainly do something to me, because he tried his best to do the best he could with the Night's Watch, and look where that got him. He got stabbed. So I like Jon Snow. I like the fact that he's kind of breaking out, trying to do his own thing, not be Ned Stark's bastard. I like, I guess because it goes along with my morals and stuff like that. I like how honorable he is. I like how he just tries. He goes through like so many trials and tribulations, yet he still makes it through. Still, tries to do the best he can. Tries to do things, quote, the right way. And I really like that about him. Next, I'm going with Daenerys Stormborn. Like, dislike. There's things I like about her, and there's things that I dislike about her. G.R. Martin does not do black and white stories. So if you keep that in mind, and you keep in mind the fact that Daenerys is power hungry, she may become a villain. I hate to say it, but my thoughts are, she could be too power hungry and just be so gung ho to go for the throne that she'll totally miss the fact that there's a bigger picture, that there is a war going on in the north that will eventually come to the south that is basically a war for humanity. So I think that she'll get a bit of her father Aerys's temperament, and she'll just be going hard as heck for the throne. Now, she could, actually learn something from that vision she got and turn away from the throne like she did and go for her dragons and go for, what's, again, quote unquote, right, which would be her going for with Jon and helping settle the deal of the White Walkers being in the north. Because if you think about it, fire takes the White Walkers out, Valyrian steel takes them out, and dragonglass. So if you think about how hot dragonfire is and just the dragons in general, a dragon would be perfect to fight against the White Walkers, not to mention having 3 of them. So if they somehow get her off her high horse to the fact that, hey, listen, the throne's great and all, but there's White Walkers in the north. I think if they can get her to set aside her ego and set aside her want to be queen of Westeros and all 7 kingdoms. That if they can deter her, then they might have a chance to actually convince her to come to the north and give him some help. So we'll see how that goes. Now the third one is Jaime Lannister. Like, dislike. With him again, it's kind of like him, kind of dislike him. At the beginning of the show, because I've only gone over the show so far, I'm on page. I was just reading it before I got on stream. 108 of book 1 of The Song of Ice and Fire. I'm actually on a different chapter now, 109. So it's a chapter that's titled Eddard. Anyway, so I just know Game of Thrones stuff, and then I've looked at however many reviews I can just to know. So I kind of know about the books, but I don't know, everything. Now, Jaime Lannister at the beginning of the Game of Thrones, I'm not gonna lie, I hated him. I thought I thought he was very a bit too proud. Like, yeah, you are probably the best fighter in Westeros. Yeah, you're commander of the King's Guard and all that. But at the same time, you know, any man can be beaten on any given day. So, you gotta be a bit. I feel like if you've got skills, don't. I mean, yeah, flaunt them a little bit. If you've got something, hey, flaunt it a little bit. But keep in mind, the fact that, hey, the top people are always trying to get the person at the top. So now I do understand that whole Lannister pride thing. I do understand that. Now, another thing I want to talk about with Jaime is Brienne and Jaime. What do you think about that? I think that with how they interacted, with the way they look at each other and all that, I think that Jaime Lannister and Brienne might hook up. I think after he gets Cersei out of the way and gets that looming terror out of the way, then I believe that they'll be able to do pretty well, and that Brienne and Jaime will be able to hook up and hope maybe even marry, have a couple kids. And I think that Brienne is sort of the reason why Jaime kind of is becoming a more rounded and kind of a better character. Um, Now, obviously, we found out that the reason why he killed the Mad King was because you know he was going to kill thousands of people in the city with wildfire and not even care. So, my opinion is, yes, you have an oath, but as human beings, we're alive. So, essentially, the opposite of living, obviously, is dying. So, if you are serving a person who all of a sudden, or whatever, wants to just murder a bunch of people for no reason at all, then I think he was right in a way to stab the king in the back. I mean, yeah, he's a kingslayer, but if not, what would have happened? So he kind of stopped a storm and opened up another can of worms, but that's a different story. Now, kill Cersei is the other question I have with Jaime. It's tough to say. I mean, now, Jaime lost his right hand, so I mean, if he somehow gets past the mountain or something like that, and I think obviously he could, kill her off. I think his best shot would probably be to try to act like, oh, hey, yeah, you're queen, and we can just discreetly, be together and whatnot. And now you're queen, who's gonna say anything, right? And try to get in her good graces and maybe stab him. I don't know. That would probably be the best way to do it for him. But then again, she doesn't have that very many friends, Cersei. So she's got everybody gunning for her. She's got Jon Snow gunning for her, and now he's the king of the North. She has Daenerys, Varys, she now Daenerys is leaving the Second Sons in Marine, so she's got, you know, all those ships that she got from Yara and Theon Greyjoy. She's got the Unsullied. She's got the Three Dragons. She's got people who are from Westeros, the Tyrells, Tyrion Lannister, Varys. She's got and not to mention the Doran ladies. She's got all them. So she's got experience. So where she's done a very good job, I would say, of knowing where she's weak as a leader and filling her weaknesses with people who definitely know that area that she's not that strong in. So she's not to mention, she's got a really good following. She's got the Dothraki as well. I know I didn't mention them earlier. She's got the Dothraki. Um, if you think about it, though, the Dothraki are sort of like the Vikings, and the fact that people are like, "Oh wow, look here they come, oh crap." But if you can, they don't have armor, like Johnny and all those guys were talking about the other day. So essentially, the Knights of Westeros are going to have a fun time fighting, the Dothraki when they don't have armor versus the Knights of Westeros do have armor. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out if the Dothraki's viciousness can hold up against the fact that the Knights can just slice right through them. So we'll see how that goes. And as far as the Unsullied, I mean, they took on. I don't know the exact story. I'm sorry, but they took on. They're like, I want to say there's 200 of them and like maybe 10,000 or 1,000 or something of that number of Dothraki, and the Unsullied ended up handling them pretty nicely. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. But with the Unsullied on our side, that'll definitely be a very good. So, all right. Now the next one is Sansa Stark. Dislike, I would say. I would have to say dislike. The reason why is because I don't know. I think that she will give in to Littlefinger. I think that she's kind of a little prissy girl. Yeah, she's gone through Littlefinger's shenanigans and she knows what he's up to, and she knows that ultimately he serves himself. But then again, he's saying, "Hey, I can be king and you can be queen, and you've always wanted to be queen, haven't you?" So I think there's decent chance that she's gonna fall for that one, unfortunately. Um, thinks she's better than Jon Snow. Yeah, she and Jon are brother and sister, but lying to him. So, I mean, now that goes with that whole what we talked about the other day with Ned Stark lying to Catelyn and it being a necessary lie, kind of. So maybe that time that was a necessary lie, but who's to say that her want to be queen doesn't make her kind of think, hey, I think I'm better than this Jon Snow. Yeah, he's my brother, but hey, I kind of want to be a queen and rule the North and you know have all that power and whatnot. So I don't know. I think she might get a little power hungry at some point. Now that's all I really gotta say. I don't really care for Sansa. I don't care for her character. I don't really care for how she acts. So I don't want to say too much bad on her, but I don't really care for her. Now Samwell Tarly, like dislike. Um, there's things that I don't like about Sam, and then there's things that I like, and I I like how he looks out for uh, baby Sam and all. I like how he does that, but it's at the same time it's all I'm saying is here's a question I have. What is his role now? He's a bit of a I don't know. He's a bit of a wuss at the beginning, but he makes up for it by finally stepping up and killing White Walker. But even so, he's not a fighter. So basically for me to dislike or to go one way or the other with disliking or liking Samwell, what is his role now? Is he supposed to go to the Citadel, and is he supposed to find a secret that will help him take out the White Walkers? Is he supposed to figure out that Jon Snow is Rhaegar Targaryens and Lyanna Stark's child? What's his deal? He basically, for me, if he better find something very good at that Citadel that has like a massive impact on the storyline in order for me to continue liking him, because I don't really care for his character all that much. But then again, he does study. All of his boys are out, fighting and doing their thing. He's sitting there studying, and as far as school, he'd probably get an A+. He knows his stuff, so he's very good in that regard. When you need somebody to, hey, what's the history of yada yada yada, then he can rattle it off. So that is very essential. Knowledge is power. My dad always said knowledge is power. So we'll lean to about a 75 like, 25 dislike on Sam. Now, Arya Stark, like, dislike. Again, things I like about her, there's things I dislike. Too bloody, too bloodthirsty. I wouldn't say she's too bloodthirsty because she's not killing unnecessarily like Cersei. She's killing, she's avenging all weddings that have ever, basically, if you've wronged the Starks, Arya's coming for you. So if she stays on that path and just kills people who have wronged her and her family, then that's okay, I guess. But hopefully she doesn't get too deep into that and totally lose herself in the glee and the bloodlust and all that. And hopefully, she can reel herself back in and go, okay, now to family. Now the second question I say is, Hound will turn Arya good again. I believe that the Hound's been in Arya's shoes of that, bloodthirstiness and love and the thrill of the kill and all that. So I think he's kind of changed a bit and morphed a bit as a character. So I think he has a very strong chance of showing Arya, hey, it's great that you've got these skills now. It's great that you can pretty well kill at will. She's pretty much the Kill Bill of Game of Thrones, more or less. So he'll say, hey, it's great you can do that. It's great that you can now fight as a woman and defend yourself, but don't forget you've got family in the north. You can help them out with your skills. I think he has a pretty good chance of reeling her back in and helping her contain herself when it comes to the bloodlust. Arya and Sansa meet. That will be interesting, because, like I say, Sansa versus Arya, Prissy Girl Sansa versus Rugged Girl Arya. So we'll see how. Hopefully, do they still hate each other? Hopefully that with what they've all been through, they can all put their differences aside and go, okay, you know what? I hated you growing up. You hated me. But I kind of don't hate you really, because you're my sister. But we'll see. We'll see. I can't wait to see that meet and see if they can all actually get to belong as a family and all say, okay, time to avenge our family and do what's necessary and own the North. Hopefully Jon Snow, Arya, Sansa can collaborate and work well together through just all they've been through. Because since Jon Snow went to the Wall, they've all been just here, there, everywhere, and gone through. All three have gone through their different kinds of crap. So that'll be very interesting for sure. Oh, one thing I have to say about Brienne and Jaime, I think that Brienne essentially kind of turned Jaime into a better character and a better person. So if they end up hooking up and marrying or something like that, I think the more time Jaime spends around a woman of nobility and a woman who is very does things right, like Brienne, I think the better he'll be. It's just like if you put yourself around good people, you'll end up doing good things and being a good person, and because you're always around, people who do good and have good morals and values and all that, whereas if you put yourself around bad influences, you're going to kind of fall into that and, um, end up doing some bad things. So I think Jamie, as long as he keeps on spending time around Brienne and people who are similar to her, he'll keep on evolving as a character and eventually will end up going from like and dislike Jamie Lannister to 100% like, understand what he did. I hope that he apologizes to Bran and says, "Hey, I was a different man back then. I pushed you out the window with the intent to kill you, but I understand why I did wrong." Maybe even go so far as swearing his sword to him. Saying, "Hey, you've got my sword now. Since I tried to take your life and it didn't work, now you have my life." Um, that would be kind of a noble thing to do, I think, and kind of the right thing to do. Because you tried to kill a little kid, and you're a grown man. Now obviously there can be little kids that are bad, but you push a little kid out the window. So if you serve him with your sword for the rest of your life, that's the least you can do. Plus, think about it. That would be perfect. Because Brienne and Jamie go live in the north. Brienne is the sword maiden to Sansa Stark, who lives in the north. Once Bran gets over the wall and ends up, reuniting back with his family, then it'll be Sansa Stark, Jon Snow, Arya Stark, and Bran Stark all in Winterfell. So you've got Bran, who's the sword maiden and is sworn to Sansa. Then Jamie can swear himself to Bran. Sansa and Bran will probably be close together, if not, relatively within miles of each other in the north. So there you go. Bran and Jamie can spend time together, practice swords together. She can improve his left hand. She's definitely, a good fighter to teach him and have him be great with his left hand. And then who knows, maybe you can put like a knife on his right hand or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. That way you can just not only bash people with his right hand, but stab them right in the eye or something. So that'll be, gosh, that'd be, if those two hooked up, that'd be great. That'd work out perfectly. But people right now are a little busy. I thought I would have some people to chat to, but I started the stream a little later than I thought. So instead of being 3, it's now 4:50. But I got out wiggle, so to speak. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream for now and just leave you guys with that, so that way you guys know relatively kind of what I think about those characters, and maybe I'll get on a live stream later if somebody else is live streaming or might start a new one or whatever. So hopefully you guys have a good day, and this is Black Wolf out.